Sunny day, Saplings! Today we're going to do a full game commentary on a very fun game I played just the other day on stream. In this game, I was Ivern vs. Lee Sin, which can prove to be a pretty challenging matchup in some situations, but it definitely should be Ivern favored, and if you play for counter ganks, play safe, and don't let the Lee Sin snowball, you're gonna have a good time playing Ivern, okay? So let's jump into the game here. I'm gonna press play on the video real quick here, and let's dive through the replay. I'll give my commentary on what my thought process was during the game, what I did, what I should have done, what items we build, etc., etc. Looks like my team is pinging for the invade here. We buy the standard talisman and refillable potion. It is the best. And we're going to go and meet up with their team real quick. They're going to try and invade the blue buff. Typically on Ivern, you don't really want to invade because it doesn't help your clear, and you can't really do the ward trick where you put down your trinket and swap for sweeper. But that's okay. If your team wants to invade, let your engage use their CC ability first, and then it makes your Q follow-up very easy, as you see right here. We end up getting that first kill rather easily. Now, what's one thing we know about Lee Sins? Lee Sins love to invade Ivern. So I'm going to go back and place a ward on the blue here, just to see if when Lee Sin spawns, he runs to his blue or his red. Now, I'm assuming he wanted to start his blue, and I don't see his bot lane anywhere. So in order to not be invaded, I'm going to come here and I'm going to start on my red side. And in the off chance Lee Sin ends up starting on his red, which is what he ends up doing here, he's starting on his red over there. We're going to clear, basically do a reverse full clear here. So we're going to mark our red and we're going to go over. We're going to mark our race, and then we're going to go and mark our wolves and smite our blue buff. So the reason you want to mark your wolves here first is because by the time you get your red, you want your wolves to be done filling their grove there, or cooking as I like to say. So now, because we are going to smite the blue buff here, there's no chance for Lee Sin to invade us, right? If Lee Sin starts his red, he can invade our blue. If he starts his blue, he can invade our red. By choosing this path over the other one, we kind of stop both situations. Because now when we go back to our red buff, we're already level 2 and we'll be able to contest him quite easily if he ends up taking it. But because he died, his clear is slower, and he ends up just doing his blue and full clearing himself. So what does that mean? That means it's an even jungle matchup so far, and we're going to play away from the Lee Sin. With this path, you have to go back topside to do the rest of your camps here, get your wolves, get your grump. So that means you have a prime opportunity to gank top or mid, and we know Lee Sin is bottom side. We saw him on the ward. Looks like our top laner does die, but he ends up pinging his TP, so we can still make a play top here. We're going to hover a little bit. We're waiting for the crab. Sorry. So we're going to grab the crab, and our Maokai ends up TPing. So we smite the crab to get level 4, and we want to end up making a difference here in this gank. Now, what we should do is put a bush down right here. We end up shielding, getting the slow. We want to get off our red buff slows with our autos. The Lee Sin makes a nice attempt to try and get, the Shen makes a nice attempt to try to get away, but Maokai ends up flash following up on him, and our bot lane gets a double kill. So how we could have played that gank smoother, bush right away. Make sure that we couldn't use our Q because it was in the minions, but make sure we're getting off 2 or 3 or 4 autos there. Now we're hovering mid because we're afraid of mid getting dove here. I believe the Arya was calling that. We're going to dive, and we go back down to just check where Lee Sin is. So it's really important for us to know where Lee is. Our RETP is back, and we're going to go and check the other crab just to make sure Lee did indeed do it. We have a pretty good idea he's in his blue side jungle, but we don't 100% know. And we're going to end up backing with the gold we have here. So on this back, we should have roughly, I don't know, maybe 1,000 gold-ish. Actually, no, we should have like 1,200 gold. So we're going to be able to get our Boots of Lucidity, our CDR boots, and our Dark Seal. Plus, we're going to swap our, I think I was looking at chat there. We're going to swap our trinket to the red trinket, and we're going to get a pink ward. So we end up swapping our, it looks like we couldn't afford the pink ward, but we did get our red trinket. You want to get Dark Seal because it gives you extra healing, 25% extra healing on your refillable potions. It gives you 100 flat mana. It lets you stack towards Medjai's, which is really good on Ivern if you're ahead. And even if you don't end up stacking it, it's still worth it to buy because it gives you 10 AP in the early game, which is really good. Plus, if you don't end up stacking it, you can just sell it for 140 gold and you're good to go. Obviously, Lucidity boots are the best on Ivern. We actually pinged out Lee Sin here. We knew he was going to gank top. I pinged it. Maokai backs off. It's actually really good that Maokai backs off here. Lee Sin goes on me. You just run diagonal and most Lee Sins will miss their Q there. But we're just making sure that we're stifling Lee Sin's pressure in the early game. If Lee Sin can't snowball on your lanes, Ivern is monumentally better than Lee Sin later on in the game. Like during team fights and stuff, Ivern is going to provide way more value. So as long as we can counter gank Lee Sin, not let him get rolling, we're going to be in a really good spot. Now our bot lane was 2-0 here. They had BF sword versus nothing in items here. So I decided to make the choice to make sure my Maokai and my Ahri weren't getting wrecked too hard. We end up getting a nice gank off here in the mid lane because we saw Lee Sin back. So it's not counterable. We end up getting Orianna's flash, which is really nice. And we can go over and check the crab. Now here, I'm level 5 to his level 4. So I'm not really scared of him. I messed up my Q here. I shouldn't Q right there. But I put a bush down so he can't see me taking it. When you're in a bush, he's not able to see you putting the grove down, and we end up getting a free crab. Orianna has prio, so we don't want to fight him too much. But Thresh comes over, so I feel more confident just keeping dragon control away from him. He backs off, I back off, and we go back to farming here. I'm going to put a bush on the dragon just to make sure he's not doing it. Because you never know with these sneaky Lee Sin. Sometimes they just do dragons. Oh, it looks like I didn't put a bush down. Looks like I'm going to go over now just to make sure. Like, we know Lee is on this side. And our bot lane is pretty extended. So that's why I'm running down bot here, just to try and maybe get in counter gank opportunity. I have the crab, right? But I don't have mid prio, so if I can take the crab to counter gank Lee Sin, that would be really good. But we're just putting ourselves in the opportunity in the right position so that we can stop a Lee Sin gank. Now, here they end up using Shen ult, and we're able to save our Thresh here with a nice counter gank. So Thresh is still alive. We flash shield to save our Samira, and they use the Shen ult for no kills, which is exactly what you want as Ivern. It's the perfect counter gank. We keep both laners alive, and we're able to now go to our chickens. We can go to our raptors here. I'm just making sure Lee Sin's not still hovering. I didn't know he backed right there. We go and get our raptors here and get level 6, and then we can do anything we want on the map. So there's the bush I put on dragon to make sure that they weren't doing it. Because after a gank like that, they might try to do dragon. If their top laner is bottom and they get a kill, a lot of the time, or they don't get a kill, but they get a lot of pressure, a lot of the time their top laner is going to get annoyed and say, okay, whatever, just take dragon. So we take this opportunity to gank bottom. Because at this point, we're assuming Lee Sin backed, right? So all the ganks we're going for, you'll notice a theme. They're not counter-gankable. Like, we know where Lee Sin is every time we gank, and it's always the other side of the map. he's never able to counter gank us. And we're usually able to counter gank him because we're reading him very well. And that's a skill like a lot of Ivern's got to get used to. Here we're able to steal away the blue pretty effectively. It looks like our mid laner is getting jumped. Let's jump over here. Our mid laner ends up surviving, and oh, look at that. Even gets a kill, and we ended up stealing the blue. So that's what I mean. If Lee Sin would have had 2 kills instead of 2 deaths there, he would have had enough damage to kill the Ahri there. But because we did such a good job tracking him in the early game and making sure he wasn't able to get anything done, he's actually quite weak right now. Ivern's items are much cheaper than Lee Sin's items. And so if we can stay even or ahead in farm on him, we're going to be miles ahead. Miles ahead. So Lee Sin died there. What's the obvious thing we're able to do? Well, my top laner comes and helps me, so we get the free neutral objective because Lee Sin died. And he goes and checks his blue. He doesn't know that I took it, right? Herald is the obvious play in this game because we have a really strong top lane. And it's Cloud Drake is the first dragon. So when I see Cloud Drake as the first dragon as Ivern, I don't really care all that much. A lot of the times I like to use Cloud Drake as like a pressure point. So because it's Cloud Drake, I know Lee Sin kind of wants it. So when he's getting it, since I don't really want it, I can use that time to do other stuff. So now we have pressure top lane. We're going to get Herald the top tower. It's going to get the first tower gold. So we got plate gold. We got first tower gold. I was able to farm 3 camps all in the time Lee Sin's doing this dragon. So that's a huge gold swing. Now we're up 3k gold, right? And what did they get for it? We got 3k gold lead. They got Cloud Drake, which they might not even get to stack because now that we have this gold lead, we're going to be able to get all the next drags. So it doesn't really matter. When I heard this, I didn't really know that he was doing the dragon until I heard that. So I went and checked. He was sitting in there. He really didn't have any flash or anything. So we end up getting a nice gank here. We get the Q, we get the Daisy knockup, and Ahri gets the free kill. It works out really, really well. We see Maokai comes in. Shen ult's blown. And Daisy ends up cleaning up this fight with Maokai. We get Shen ult, Shen flash, 2 kills. And what did they get? They got Dragon. Who cares? And now look, we're up 5k gold. So by making the conscious choice to... basically, our plan was to bait Lee Sin into going to the Cloud Drake. Well, we kind of took everything else on the map. And it ended up getting us 2 kills, first tower, 3 plates, and like at least 3 or 4 camps, right? So I think that's a worth trade in my book. Now, we're going to end up buying our Athene's Unholy Grail here, getting a pink ward, and making sure we're nice and strong. Since we're not afraid of the Lee Sin anymore, there's no reason to get any armor. It doesn't matter. We don't need it. The only person on their team that's remotely strong is actually Orianna. As you can see on some of those ganks, she ended up doing some work. She had burst damage to kind of kill me, so Athene's Unholy Grail is going to give us MR, it's going to give us AP, cooldown reduction. It's going to transform all of our base mana regen into AP. And basically every item Ivern buys has base mana regen, so it's going to give us a ton of AP. Daisy's able to stack the healing on the shields. We tried to go for this gank, but it's clearly warded. We're not able to. So Athene's is really the only buy here. It's the best buy on Ivern. And we end up going for a kill because we catch out. I end up flash queuing Orianna. And I end up dying there, but Ahri ends up getting away. Thresh does a nice job countering this here. And Shen jumps in, taunts. Samira doesn't even die because champion's really busted. Sona misses the flash ulti. Thresh Shield saves our Ahri. And again, it's a 2 for 0. So... Oh, our Samira ends up dying, I believe. So it's a 2 for 1, which is fine. But Maokai ends up getting the tier 2 top lane, which is really, really good. And Thresh and I are just faking pressure here so they don't keep pushing the tower. There's no way we can actually kill them until Ahri comes. She gets the nice charm there. I get the Q on Sona. It's another freebie. And there you go. There's a 4 for 1. And now we're mega far ahead. Now we can do whatever we want. We're going to take the mid-tier 1. Open up the map a little bit for us. Which is really, really nice. But yeah, since we're no longer scared of Lee Sin, Athene's is just the best item here. And now that we're ahead, we want to do an AP build to finish this off and really close out the game. We want to keep stacking our Dark Seal. We want to get Ardent Censer. We want to get Medjai's. We want to get Death Cap. And here we're able to catch out Lee Sin because of our pressure. And that forces the free Shen ult. And now they can't use the Shen ult effectively. I kind of greed here for the blue buff because I thought it was free. But I didn't see the Orianna TP. And we ended up getting double ulted Sona Orianna. So I end up dying there. Which is a little bad. Our team did ping it out. But I kind of greeded for the blue. That's a little mini throw on my end. Ends up being a 3 for 0 in favor of their team. And so now we're back down to only a 4k gold lead. But yeah, I kind of threw that one there. That's my bad, team. Sorry about that one. Oh, these team fights are a little crazy though. So what did we end up buying? We ended up buying a pink ward and a forbidden idol, which is going to give us AP with the Athene's Unholy Grail passive. And we're probably going to build that into Ardent Censer. That's usually why we buy it. But you buy the Forbidden Idol first, because if things start going wrong, instead of Ardent Censer, you can buy Redemption. So if you need that instead. So you can pick Ardent Censer or Redemption as your second item. If you're ahead, Ardent Censer is better. If you need to stop AoE, then Redemption is better. If you put your bush wall there, then the Scuttle Crab can't see you taking the drag, which is really nice. I let Samira take that lantern instead of myself because she's going to have the damage. She's going to end up getting the kill there. Really nicely done by Thresh and Samira. I was just kind of there for looks. I'm back down to 1 Dark Seal stack, but it's okay. It's still worth having in my inventory. And we're going to look for the free scuttle. So now that we're far ahead, it really doesn't matter where Lee Sin is. We're down 10 CS, and I really should have marked all my blue side camps prior to doing this. That would keep us even further ahead and tied on CS. But a free objective is a free objective. We wanted to beat the clock, basically. It's 18 minutes already, so after this, we're going to mark our whole blue side and end up going to get our red buff. And then there's no neutral objectives on the map. At this point, we're just trying to farm as much as we can and push our lead ahead as much as we can. Maokai is a monster right now, so he can take the Rift Herald and spawn it wherever he wants to build a lot of pressure. They have to send multiple members to stop him. Hey there. Looks like Ahri gets a pick in the river, which is nice. We're gonna grab the blue buff here. We're gonna go and smite the crab. Always want to smite the objectives that are contested, of course. So I believe I smite this crab here. Looks like I do. Yeah, perfect. And then we can just clear the rest of our camps. By this point, your grove should only be, I don't know, maybe 15 seconds or so. Once you hit level 15, it's like 1 second, so that's really nice. Stop to look at Twitch chat real quick. And run down to the red buff because Samira wants it. Baron's in 22 seconds. Fire Drag is in 2 minutes 35 seconds. So there are no neutral objectives on the map right now. But when that happens, you don't just want to run around with your team and like get in random fights for no reason. You want to make sure you're clearing your camps, focusing on yourself more than your teammates, and really making sure you stay farming up. So now we've fully caught up in farm with the Lee Sin. And again, if Ivern is even or ahead in farm against Lee Sin, Ivern's items are much cheaper than Lee Sin's items. So you're going to be way far ahead. Looks like we're not sure if this is warded or not. We're just kind of chilling. I end up sweeping it and seeing it is indeed warded. Thresh likes to play with fire, so he's hanging out. And come late game team fights, we're going to be much more useful here. So Thresh ends up getting burnt. He flashes a bit too late, but we end up getting the kill on Lee Sin here. And it looks like Samira got a triple kill, so I didn't really see that. Let's go back and watch. So she kills Caitlyn here. And then she ends up... Okay, she just flash ults and is really balanced. Okay, that's a little bit disgusting. But whatever. Thank you, Rito. 9,000 years of game development. Love it. We get ourselves another enemy blue buff. We're going to go and push mid. And Maokai is going to use the Herald and get that pressure I was talking about. Now that 4 are dead, we have pressure all over the map. And quite honestly, this should just be an easy win. We haven't bought in a while, so right now we're probably sitting on a lot of gold, actually. We're going to end up getting this tower, I believe, as they go and deal with Maokai. But we want to make sure we back relatively soon. Looks like we get that tower there. And then I believe we just rotate over to our bot lane, who's also pushing. If you can't keep pushing, you want to rotate to your team, right? Especially if you're not able to do your camps. So Ori blows her ult right here, which is a big mistake. And we end up taking advantage of it. So we're watching Ivern's POV here. We're going to stick with Ahri here. She has catch potential with her Glacial Augment. So we put Daisy on Lee Sin. Shen burns his ulti on Lee Sin right here. He ends up taunting the Maokai. We just shield the tank. He gets the massive slow off on Orianna. Daisy gets a knock up, and Maokai just keeps going. So here we're just shielding our tank boy. We get the flash Q off. Thresh gets the hook. We end up getting, I think it's a 4 for O or an ace. We end up getting an ace here. It's a 5 for O, and we could run mid and get that inhib, which is what we probably should be doing. But I think we just yeah, somebody ping the inhib. I think we just keep pushing this tower, getting both of them low here. So we end up getting 1 inhib. We get 5 kills, and we can go back to the fire drag. So you see what I mean about giving away that first cloud drag? Really didn't matter. Like, it didn't matter at all. And because we got that 3k gold lead based on our decisions, we're able to get the next 2 drags with relative ease here. Samira is a really nice person and leaves me the scuttler. We're going to do the recall trick. See, you start your recall, and while you're recalling, you can smite. So right before, we're just going to smite it and save ourselves about 4 seconds there, which we're going to spend buying items anyway, so who cares? But here we end up, we have 8 Dark Seal stacks, so we're going to get Magi's for sure. There's the Magi's buy. And then here's the Ardent Censer buy. So we had enough gold to buy Magi's, Ardent Censer, and a Needlessly Large Rod. That Needlessly Large Rod is going to turn into a Rabadon's Death Cap, which is amazing. And Rabadon's Death Cap and Dark Seal / Magi's are the most gold efficient AP items that you can buy. And they give you the most AP. So that's really good scaling on Ivern. A fully stacked Magi's is like 145 AP or something crazy like that. Since all your shields and damage scale with AP, it's really, really good to close out the game when you're ahead. Now, even if our Dark Seal didn't pan out, we would have got all that value from the refillable. And whoa, we end up winning the smite fight there. That was really close. Let's go back and watch that. And it's perfectly fine to sell Dark Seal. Let's watch this smite. This is really, really close. So I hung on to my smite there. He ended up smiting it to 200, and then I smited it after him.
You're my boy, Blue.
It's really bad to... I was telling the team while we were doing the drag, I did not want to 50-50 the Baron. It's really bad to 50-50 with Ivern because he doesn't have a damaging ability. So you can try and time your Q with your smite and get an extra 200 damage maybe, but it's really unreliable. Lee Sin, when he Qs and goes over the wall, he has instant damage plus his smite, so he's always going to be able to time it better than you. And that's the same way with most junglers. So Ivern is not great at 50-50ing any of the objectives. You usually want to turn and fight if you can, because Ivern's a team fighting character. That's what he's good at. So that's what's best. We end up winning the 50-50 because Lee Sin panics, and it looks like that's all she wrote. We get the inhibs, we get all the kills. Maokai's going crazy. He's unkillable. But what I really wanted to get across in this game is early pathing. The early pathing stifling Lee Sin's ganking opportunities, counter jungling him, having a good early game, led us into a big snowball, and we were able to win the game through objectives and team fighting. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you like what we do here, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Come visit us on Twitch every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. This game I actually did play on stream, so if you do want to go check that out, check it out on the Twitch channel. There is a VOD there, and have a sunny day, Saplings. Bye.